MotorWeek is made possible by Rock Auto and Tire Rack.
Oh, I like this already.
Besides the men and women in uniform, these camo machines were vital to the entire Vietnam operation. This Maryland gathering gives you a feel for the importance they served.
We are at the 43rd Annual East Coast Military Rally, not far from Aberdeen Proving Ground. And some of the vehicles here are so rare that only a handful exist.
Andy here won last year's Best in Show. That's why his 4x4 made it on last year's shirts. Not only is this a place to show off your pride and joy, but it's also a sellout flea market.
Good place to find parts for your vehicle that you can't find anywhere else. Sometimes you find something you've been looking for years, especially if you're working on some oddball vehicle like some of my other ones are, where they only made 50 of them.
One you'll recognize, they made thousands of.
So this is a 1969 Ford M151A1, and these were notorious for tipping over on turns.
It was the successor to the Willys, and it drove much better. I could feel the difference immediately. A-arm coil springs were added to the M151A2, and it corrected the rollover problem.
These are motor pool vehicles. They are not straight out of the factory. What the judges are looking for on here is additions that the soldiers would have done out in the field. What type of climate are they dealing with? What type of terrain? On and on. So for instance, this antenna would have been installed in the field, along with the radios, seat covers, and a bunch of other stuff that you see on here.
Judges are not only making sure everything works, but motor pool vehicles must appear like they just left the battlefield.
This is called a contact maintenance truck. It's basically a mechanic's service truck, sort of like a AAA truck for the Army.
Ralph had a truck identical to this in his unit. His is 100% fully functional with a generator, welder, and any tools he'd need in the field. Using it in conjunction to his aircraft recovery job, he'd often be flying in a helicopter.
Next thing I know, I'm hanging underneath the Huey at 800 feet.
This time, the machine gun broke off its mount, which Ralph was holding onto, and he fell out with it. Luckily, his gunner had strapped him into the aircraft.
The old saying about changing your undies, it's true.
Not only did he enjoy sharing some hilarious stories, but we quickly found out his enjoyment of the truck reaches deeper than we imagined. Inside his toolboxes are signatures of living vets.
Last year at a show, a guy, after talking to me for a while, signed the truck. His wife was standing behind him and she started crying. I said, "What's the matter?" That's the first time he's admitted he was in Vietnam in 50 years. She thanked me because now maybe he can open up and start living again, It's kind of been my way to enjoy life now, especially talking to the people and telling them about the truck and what we did over in Nam and the good parts to it.
Kids love asking Ralph about his truck, and he says they have good questions too. But he'll agree with an event officer that the attendance is shrinking.
Some of the older members are dying off, and we're not replacing people with the younger generation. We're trying to figure out how to solve that problem, but the interest isn't there.
The next time there's a show like this near you, go check out how things used to be and live through the men and women who risked their lives so you could be here today.